Afternoon, guys.
What's the joke?
What's the joke?
That's not for you.
Those clowns again.
Well, there's no when the cameras are ready at the back, guys. Right, over to you, Paddy.
It's nice to see you. I'm afraid to ask, but we're going to start with the fitness situation. Throw a few names at you. Just want to follow up on Josh Sargent. Has he had the surgery yet?
Yeah. So, probably 8 weeks from that, and that was, I can't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday, but 8 weeks from that.
Obviously, all the indications was it's gone as it would have hoped.
Yeah. It's all right. So now it's just about some rehab and then nice and easy getting back again.
Just to clarify, Gabe Forsyth, you said after the game 5 to 6 weeks, but that's not surgical route.
No, surgery would have been 5-6 months.
Right.
So 5-6 weeks is because there's be extended a little bit something in his knee, but it's not torn, or it's nothing more severe than that. But it still takes time for that to settle again, and also it's a little bit of a swollen knee. So the conservative approach is 5 weeks, I would say.
Just update on Brad Hills. I know you said he had a slight issue with his back. Whereabouts is he now in terms of his recovery?
Back again in training today for the first time in a couple of weeks.
Would that sort of suggest a little bit too early to come to your thoughts for Saturday? Or
it is because he's, of course, I think it's 2.5-3 weeks now, so that would be a little bit too early for him. I don't think he's match fit, but. He hopefully can give us other options after the break.
What about Mel Hernandez? Is this too soon from this weekend?
He was on grass today. Still, nice and easy. And coming back from a 8-week injury, we still have to build him up and we still have to make him ready for that. So I would say it would take at least 1 full week with the team before we can start thinking about giving him minutes. But it's nice to see him back.
I think I'm right, so I saw he was called up to Cuba. Would it still be the expectation he goes away? And could that even work in terms of he got some minutes? I
think that's difficult for us to say now. I think if we don't select him for the match on Saturday, which I don't think we will, then I think it'll be unlikely for him to go away. But it's something we decide within the next couple of days.
Just taking it back to Wednesday night, any of those lads coming out of that game, anything fitness-wise, concern-wise?
Fastnacht had a little knock to his knee and had a swollen knee, so he was not in the session today. Hopefully he can be tomorrow, but we have to wait and see. And I think that was the only one.
Just with Nunes and Gunn, is the expectation West Brom the other side in international break? If all went to plan between now and then, maybe.
I think for Angus West Brom is realistic. We still have to see how he reacts to training on the pitch. I think with Marcelino, I think there's a possibility that it can be for that game. It can also be a decision for us to see. Okay, we need to wait just a little bit to make sure that he's fully fit when we put him in again.
And just the only one I wanted to throw at you was Kenny. We know you got the 3-game ban, and that is up this weekend. But has there been anything from the club, from the FA, about the additional charge yet? Have you had any confirmation? Would you like to share that?
It's one more.
Is it? Yeah. So that's going to be the West Brom game. Yeah. I don't want to get you in trouble, so I'm not going to ask for your thoughts on that. But
no.
It is what it is. You've got to deal with it.
Yeah. Apparently, he gets suspended for having a booking.
For having a booking.
Or making a tackle, there's a booking worth. So.
Yeah. Okay, we'll leave that on there. Yeah. Talking of midfielders, Longy, could he go again? I must confess, I was a bit surprised when I checked back this morning. He actually played the full 90, didn't he? off the back of 75 at Cardiff.
Yeah.
For a player who's not kicked the ball.
Yeah. It's not ideal, and it's not an ideal situation that we are in. So of course, some players out there have to do a little bit extra and have to also find some resources and find some extra energy somewhere. I think it's top class from him that he could go 90. I think actually also the plan for him going into Cardiff was maximum 60 minutes. That was the plan, but we communicated with him after 55, and he said he was ready to go more, and I think he played 75 in that one. So he's doing what he can, and I think it just tells the story that he's a team player and will do everything he can for the team.
You said to me after the game Wednesday you've never really experienced anything like this in terms of the scale of injuries in your coaching career. When it reaches this point, though, I mean, I'm just thinking in terms of maybe some of the more muscular ones. Do you have to look at everything you're doing, game load wise, training load, the recovery, the sports science, everything? You have to get under the skin of it and see if there's anything there.
Yeah, I think everything we do, we need to look at. I think it's the muscular problems are Marcelino, of course, we need to look at. We knew Anis came with some fitness issues from Sheffield and had a hamstring injury in Sheffield just a couple of months ago. So we knew that he was not fully fit, and we needed that, and we knew that he would not be able to play 90 minutes consistently for us. And that's also the reason why in many of the games where he's been on, he's only gone 65 or 70 minutes. So we could see if we could limit that risk. So I think the cases we need to look into is Liam Gibbs and it's Marcelino Nunes. I think the other cases are more situations with either suspensions or knocks in games where that's unfortunately just a part of being a football player. But of course, I think we look at everything also with critical eyes, and it's not, again, neither is with the players or with the staff or anyone else to blame, but it's to see if we can come up with even better solutions for the future.
And I guess as well, the nature of the championship, I mean, it's not just the volume of games, it's the travel as well. I mean, it is a brutal and forgiving league, isn't it? Have you experienced that? Yeah. And we knew when we started this that it will not be easy and it will not be a quick fix. And hopefully, but that's at least the feeling that I get, is that we are prepared for a situation like this. We can never be fully prepared because we cannot have a squad of 25 top performing championship players. No team in the league can have that. So we know that it's about having some really experienced good players and then some young ones coming up. And of course, the young ones, they need to take even more responsibility at the moment. We get some learning out of it. We get some answers out of it. We see who can actually cope with the pressure there is at the moment. So hopefully give us some good answers and even better solutions in the future. It's never ideal and it's never a perfect situation to be in, but we try every day that we are in to see it from that angle where it creates opportunity for us, and we try to stay positive in here, even though it can be difficult. Well, as you touched on now, we know that is the model now moving forward. There's an emphasis on youth and development, but also at the same time you need to try and win games as you're moving along that path. And in this spell now, it's been underlined. You look at the bench you had midweek, how young it was. Take one or two out, Fashnet and Hanley. So you've not got a huge amount of room for manoeuvre in terms of your team selection. But do you feel now these last few games maybe it's just tipped too far towards too many young players? As much as you say they need to step up and take responsibility. Yeah. Because you cannot do what we try to do here overnight. And I think actually what we managed to do was to find that right balance just before the previous national break, where I think we got into some very, very good performances. There was a good balance in the team between experience and young players. But of course, with the situation that we are in, I cannot expect more from the players than what they're doing at the moment. And that was also my message after the game. I don't think we played well in Sheffield the other day, but I think I'll not go hard on them because that's not the time. If we had all the players available and they were having results like we're having at the moment, that would be a different approach for me. I'll be critical in another way with the performance of the players, but it's not the time to do that at the moment. It's the time for us to stick even more together and to support each other even more. And then we know it's going to be another difficult one on Saturday, and we know we don't have any new players available or any other players coming back from injuries. It will be the same team that have to go over again and have to do it one more time in what is it, 7 days. So it's going to be tough, but we try all that we can every day to see if we can build that a little bit positivity around the group and see if we can come up with some good solutions and support the players best way. And to be fair, I mean, you said it again after the game, that the ebb and flow of the championship, you win 2 or 3 on the spin, the picture can change dramatically, but it can equally go the other way. And the reality is, these 2 away games you've lost, but before that it was 7 unbeaten. Yes, maybe too many draws for your line, but you have to reiterate that many of the underlying traits were on the right path.
We have to look at that, and I painted a picture for the players today with some. I'm not a master in drawing, but sometimes I do. Just to paint a picture for the boys, which is sometimes a little bit more easy. Just to say that we cannot be too affected by the emotions going on in football. We cannot be too affected when we meet in the building every day. We need to stay on a consistent level, both with the emotions but also the performance. And now they know me a little bit better, and it's not because we win 4-0 home against Hull that I'm celebrating for 24 hours. That's the hard part about being a coach in this league. It takes 10 minutes and then we're on to the next one. And that's the same when we lose a game. We need to focus on, okay, what can we actually do better? So I don't show up every day affected by either a win or a loss. And the same with the players. So that we try to highlight. I try to illustrate it this morning for the players. And I think actually there's a good vibe at the moment. And I think what we see also is that someone that we didn't expect to take responsibility this season is actually trying to do. And then hopefully when we are back in end of November and more of the players are coming back from injuries, we are in a position where hopefully we can overcome a difficult period at the moment, and it creates an even better foundation for the future.
I thought it was really interesting what you said Tuesday night after the game. You said that maybe this group needs some extra support, maybe some clarification on how they do things, and just to push you on that. I mean, is that the game pictures? Is that how you build the play? Do you think maybe in this spell we've just gone a little bit away from your key principles in terms of clarification?
Yeah, no. I actually think that was why I was so disappointed after the game in Cardiff, because I think 80% of it was so good, and with a completely new midfield and so many changes in the team, I think we really did well in that game. And that was why it was so disappointing to leave from Wales with 0 points. I think Sheffield was different, and I think we could also see that on the backside of the Cardiff game, with the injuries still and with the energy in the group, they were to the limit. Several of the players, we could also see that performance-wise. But I think for me, it's so easy to go down that road where I'm just emotional and I'm just screaming, shouting at the players that they're not doing well enough. But that's not the case at the moment. I see players, they try everything, they invest everything they have. They just we spoke about Lungi, wanna be and play a little bit extra, even though he knows there's a big risk of also injuries for him back again. Where I only see players at the moment where they fully commit to everything we do, and they support each other, and that's what also makes me positive, also especially for the future.
Well, I did want to ask you about the second goal you conceded midweek, only in the sense that you could see the parallels with Borough's equaliser here the week before. A defensive free kick diagonal to the back post, and the other night Cordova's jumping with 2 players, and then the Borough one that Conway's unmarked. Is that something that concerns you, defensive set pieces?
No, not really, because I actually think it's been a part of the game where we have been really, really strong so far this season. I think I count 1 conceded goal after a corner kick away against Derby. Yeah. Thanks. You have a better memory than me. Yeah, exactly, and I think that's quite solid. Then of course we saw the Middlesbrough game and the goal they scored, which was not ideal for us that the player back on the back post had so much space, and it was a little bit the case against again in Sheffield, even though I think there was a couple of players involved in the situation that could have done better. But what I tried to also highlight for the players again this morning is that on every goal it's so easy to highlight that single mistake that's obvious for everyone, but leading to that there's 4, 5, 6 mistakes where we can deal with it better, we can solve the situation better. And that's the approach we take, and also the approach when I talk to you guys. You will never hear me blaming one player. You will never hear me blame a striker for not scoring on a penalty or a goalkeeper for missing a save, because that's a part of football. But the way that we approach it is that we need to see from a collective point of view, what can we actually do better? And there's many situations, both on the first goal, where we have to do better before the ball is in our box. And there's many situations with the free kick they scored from Tuesday night again, where we simply have to do better before we commit a foul and before we have to defend that situation. And that's what we can train.
You anticipated my next question, Ed. I was going to ask you about George Long, only in the sense of, because you've made it quite clear, you've reiterated it there again, that's between you and him, those type of conversations. But externally, can you understand maybe in a side who are conceding too many goals, that focus on his performances?
Yeah, I can, because it's of course it's obvious, and I think George is a fair play to him. He also raised his arm this morning and said, "Yeah, it's my mistake," which I think is exactly the kind of environment that we try to build here, where everything we do with each other, we can go open and honest to each other, and we can say, yes, this is my mistake, yes, I should have done better. But it's just to paint the picture. There's so many things, also from a coaching perspective, that can be done better in a situation like that. So it's never important for me to go down to individuals and say it's only because of this or it's only because of that. It's a collective approach, and that's in everything we do here. I fully understand why some can be frustrated. I fully understand that when you travel so many hours to Sheffield on a Tuesday night and you see the team perform like that they're not fully satisfied with that. That's completely understandable from my side. But we work in a little bit different way than that, where the emotions cannot take over and the emotions cannot be a part of the way that we prepare or the way that we analyze or the way that we give feedback to each other.
Maybe on a similar theme, the top end of the pitch, obviously now Anti's had to step into some big shoes. And you said after the Cardiff game, maybe he just needs that goal, give him an extra shot of confidence, because he's obviously been asked to take on a lot more responsibility leading the line. If we get to a point maybe in this initial spell, maybe the other side of an international break, and that hasn't really happened, and he hasn't maybe got himself on the score sheet or contributed in assists, does it reach a point where you have to explore maybe, and this obviously plays into maybe how many different options you've got, but you have to start to give it some thought if it isn't quite working with Anti then?
Yeah. It's always that balance. I think, again, what we saw maybe 2, 3, 4 games leading up to the last international break is that balance was good. So we had experience in midfield and young players on midfield. We had experience up front and young players up front, and the same in the back, which gave us that good balance in the team, where there was some guys that was ready to take responsibility in the tough moments of the game, and they were also there to dictate the game when everything was good for us. At the moment, we need that, and that's also the reason why maybe Ante and maybe some of the others are struggling a little bit more, because it is, when we have a guy like Josh in the middle up front, it's not only the goals that he produces, it's all the communication in there, it's all the support to the players in there, that is just, we cannot give it a value and say how much it's worth for us, because it's so difficult to measure. But it just counts a lot when you have that in the team. So every young player needs that next to them or close to them, and also Ante. But of course, end of the day, we need to find out what's his best position, and is it better for him sometimes to come on as a sub, where there's a little bit more space and the defense is a little bit more tired. We have to, of course, explore all the options. But for the moment, it's not because we swim in strikers or attackers that we could just select from everywhere we want. We have to make it work with the guys that are available.
Just wanted you to clear up on the striker from Ken Abo's status, because he was back here playing, I think, against Norwich in the Premier International Cup.
Yeah.
But he's not an option, is he? Certainly not until January, if you're looking to recall him. But in the here and now, even though he was back here playing midweek,
yeah,
he's
no.
not able to do anything.
Yeah, no, not an option with that, no.
Yeah, have you given any thought to maybe given the situation with the strikers in January, or is it too early for that? In terms of whether you might look to recall him?
No, we are not specifically on him, but I think it's an ongoing process again, that we talk about the team, and we look at again all games that we play. We get experience, we get some answers, we find out how far are we actually in our strategy in the way that we want to do things. What do we need to see if we can become even better and we can do it just a little bit faster. So it's ongoing for us, and we discuss it every week if we have to do something in January. But it's not like, even though I know there's a new ownership, it's not like we just have unlimited funds and resources and can just go out and buy and pick and select whatever we want. We have to stay realistic and also true to the strategy here, that we need to create some space for some of the younger players. So I appreciate the questions, and I also appreciate the support that we get, but also still the patience in what we're doing.
Just a couple more for that on the game Saturday, Bristol. Stylistically, how do you feel that's going to match up?
Yeah, I'm a little bit split, because I think Again, going back to where we were a couple of weeks ago, I think what we faced against Sheffield could actually have been very good for us. Now I think it's maybe not that bad if the game opens up a little bit more, because we don't necessarily have the relations on pitch where players, they just know each other from playing so many games together, so they can just open up a defensive side where they defend with a 5-back line or even more, where if the game gets a little bit more open, then the space gets bigger, and it's not that important with 2, 3, 4 guys seeing the same moment at the same time. So what I see from them and what I know from them is obviously they are a good technical side. They want to create and dominate the game, and they are some good technical players. I think they can play some really, really good football when they are on top. I also see from them that they can change their system and formation game to game, also a little bit dependent on the opposition. So we prepare the best way, but I think actually a little bit more open game would be good for us on Saturday.
And again, you just look from afar, you look, I mean, that midweek game, and very similar to you in Cardiff, really. They were leading pretty much to the end of the game and then got beat, let 2 late goals, but that's their first defeat in 8. So that's clearly a group of players and their head coach who are on something, and they come in good confidence, even allowing for the reverse midweek. Yeah, they do. And it's sometimes good to see that it can happen to others as well. I watched my Danish colleague in the Premier League the other night as well, where they played away in Fulham, and they had a 1-0 lead into the 19th minute and lost that game as well. So it can happen to others, and it's with all due respect, and I don't want to be in their shoes because they have the feelings right now. But sometimes good to see that it can happen. No, they are in form, and we were the same going into Cardiff. And if that game would have been done after 85 minutes, we would still have been very much in form. So it's small margins, and it's small things deciding that. And I think it will be the same on Saturday. I think it's 2 teams where, again, they try to dominate. I think it's 2 technical sides. Hopefully we can have a good one on Saturday and a good lead into the break, but also for us to have a good start after that. Final one, small margins. Carrow Road, Middlesbrough come back, made it full calendar year unbeaten. How much do you have to really lean into that for this weekend? And that's more than ever.
I hope we don't have to do a comeback one more time. I hope we have.
You're a young man.
Not too much. I hope we can score some goals. I hope we can. Of course, obviously, like always, get off to a good start and have some of these good offensive moments in the game. That's what we try to create. Then we prepare just a little bit also on the last part of the game. What do? We look at the players available, what's best for them. So we actually flip it around and also see from minute 90 to 70 what's the team we're going to have on pitch at that time in the game, and how do we do things, because we know, and also with the experience we got from the previous games, that many things are decided in the last 20 minutes of a game. So we have to prepare as much as possible, and I know the staff is sitting there that they're doing it right now, and we have a meetings tonight as well. So again, we have to do everything down to detail. So hopefully the players can just go out there and express themselves. Thank you.
For me, and I know I said the other day you're getting a lot of questions about Borgeside, but he's now been nominated for the Player of the Month again. October feels like quite a while ago now, but if you can just reflect on how good that month was for him.
Yeah, obviously fantastic, and I think also, what is it today? It's the 7th of November. I also think, still he's trying his best, and I think also Tuesday night in Sheffield, he tried to show that he could turn the game around, and he could do that extra what we needed. Maybe a little bit too much in some occasions, but at least he tried, and he took some initiative out there. And I think he's also trying what we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, trying to take the steps into becoming a more leader on the pitch, and especially a guy that we can rely on game to game. So it's not too much up and down with him, but it's consistent in performance and how he can impact the games. And I think that's maybe where you have taken the biggest step so far this season, that he's consistent and he can consistently go for 90 minutes, which is really, really impressive.
Okay, thanks chaps. Go have the cameras off please. Jack, if you want to jump up here.